okay, this week you might say, well, there's a lot of matches which are kind of one-sided, right? But we had those in the past anyways. They were just a bit more spread out and dotted around. Whereas now it kind of builds up. You know, in theory, as each day goes by, the matches should only get better, closer, more competitive. So that's something to be, I think, very excited about.
Yeah. I think we're very much big fans when we first heard about it, and we'll see, I guess, as we continue watching all the broadcasts, if it does also improve the quality. But right now, we're kind of in that beginning zone, so we do have certainly the underdog coming in the bottom left of Royal Blood. It is NightPhoenix.
And in the top right-hand side, from Mouse Sports, the biggest of games, it's HeRoMaRinE. Playing in the red, matching the logo with the Mouse Sports. Just so cool, isn't he?
He's so cool, man.
So freaking cool.
Who did you get for your player cards? Because I immediately remember HeRoMaRinE got Roddy, or Roddy got HeRoMaRinE.
I got Ryung and Hostum.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Hostum.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think Hostum card has high value, so...
Yeah, me too. That's why I traded Haas for it.
Yeah, that's an easy trade.
That I thought so. Kalaris called me crazy. But I got Maru and Hearthstone. I mean, what's up?
Oh my god. You got the best player and the best content creator.
I did. I really did. Amazing. I think I took home the hero large one, by the way. I don't know where I put it, but it's somewhere in my boxes.
I took the Beyond big one. I had my eyes on it the moment I saw them. I mean, I was like, that's mine. And then they were like, I don't think you can take them home. I was like, it's mine. Change the rules.
I figure, not that we would ever do this, anyone who's listening, but we probably could have taken like 10 of them each, you know, and probably made some decent money off of selling them.
What, the big ones?
And the small ones.
But there wasn't any small ones left.
Oh, we actually got rid of all. I picked them out like early, I guess. So
yeah,
I still saw like a huge deck of cards.
There was only 2 sets, and there was when I got to pick, there was only 10 cards left or so.
Oh, whoa, okay, all right, I didn't realize
like,
that. But
all the admins got 2, and then all the
okay.
Observers got 2 as well. Who else?
So the big ones though still had a stack, right?
I didn't see the big one. I was out of there. I got the Bjorn one, and I was out of there. Didn't stick around to find out.
Like a criminal.
then I saw other people with them, and I'm like, okay, maybe you didn't need to be so sneaky.
You're like hiding it underneath like bundles of sweatshirts. And you're like, oh, okay, we're good.
I actually think what happened was that Bjorn got eliminated, and so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go get the Bjorn card. I'm gonna walk away with it. And then later on, I was like, Wardy, they said you can have the cards, but I can't find the Bjorn one. I was like, oh. Awkward.
That's so weird. I'll look for it.
I'll look for it. Whoa, I've got it. James, you just looked in the wrong pile. Should have looked in the pile in my bag. Duh. Silly James.
Well, we have a TVP underway, actually. HeRoMaRinE getting some scouting, sees that it's Phoenix, sees that it's Adepts. NightPhoenix living up to his name. And HeRoMaRinE currently going for a factory expand on the high ground. Very much respectful of the potential of a Protoss player in the early game.
Respectful of the potential, and I think also just knowing that he is absolutely the favorite player, right? So he just wants to say, cool, get set up, let's get this going. I'm not really bothered about anything else, let's just get into some games. Oh, that's painful. He just wants to guarantee himself into the mid game is what I was going to say, but that is a dead Phoenix, and that's already going to be really good for HeRoMaRinE. What a great catch to start off with.
Yes, it is. I did actually look at their history, wondering if they had even played against each other, and they have. Recently, the most recent one was 6 months ago. But NightPhoenix has won against HeRoMaRinE in the Wardy TV 2022 Series European League Qualifier number 3 round of 16.
Yeah, that was a series that happened in an event one time.
Yeah, exactly. And I do vaguely recall talking about it for maybe that season's regional, just because, you know, what if it changes the dynamic?
Happened,
yeah. It did not, though, and I don't think it's really going to change the dynamic here either, as HeRoMaRinE continues to get very good practice against very top-tier Protoss players, and still remains favored against most of them. NightPhoenix coming in as a, I mean, very almost unrecognizable name to a lot of people, right? So this doesn't bode well when you look at the two names and the prestige behind it. And HeRoMaRinE is already looking to bully NightPhoenix, got him supply blocked, attacking into the natural, trying to drag him over that Widow Mine, which is going to not work. Just kidding. Nice micro from HeRoMaRinE.
This is really bad. No battery or anything to help you out. There is an Immortal that spawns. It's going to be a big help. I think without that Immortal, I'm extremely concerned. And even right now, I mean, we've got a Liberator set up too, so you can only step so far forward. The Cyclone lock-ons are going to remain for a while. The Phoenix diving through. Widowmine goes off. A little bit of splash damage. Now he gets some extra lifts to help. Coming through into Liberation Zone. You got to be careful, though. The Cyclone's still putting in work too. And I mean, if nothing else, I think HeRoMaRiNE's very happy with the trade-out he's seen across the early game.
Yep. He should be. 2 bases to 2. Even worker counts. That is much better for the Terran. And still some units coming across the map that could actually combat a little bit. I am a little worried when reinforcements are getting picked off like that, but I think HeRoMaRiNE should have enough. He does just need to maybe take a chill pill and back away. The amount of micro not as high as he was hoping. So he's going to back away into the actual defensive setup, which is currently 2 Cyclones, handful of Marines. Raven only just started, tank only halfway done. NightPhoenix thinking he might have an opportunity, and Observer just tanked a lock-on as well. And hey, wait a second. Things are a little bit more dangerous than they should be.
Yes, they really are. Phoenix going to lift on that Cyclone. SCVs have to be pulled. We're going to get damage done at the very least, and HeRoMaRiNE, he is going to push this back, right? With the siege tank setting up, he should be fine now, but it was a lot more dangerous than it should have been, CG. We were kind of in the camp of this was going to be absolutely fine for HeRoMaRiNE, all was fine and dandy, but not quite. Now the Raven comes forward to drop the auto turret. The Phoenix lifting up the siege tank. We do target the Phoenix lifting the tank down, so the tank gets dropped again. The Immortal goes down now as well. Still only SCVs and Marines. I didn't think the tank was going to die, honestly, so kind of a bit surprised about that, and hence NightPhoenix is still keeping up this pressure, man. It's still going well.
Yeah, NightPhoenix got a warp prism across the map, warp in, so they're Phoenix, and he's taking a 3rd base, so HeRoMaRiNE's in a ton of trouble. HeRoMaRiNE's actually gonna die, dude. The tank goes down, the SCV is only accompanied by a handful of Marines, and NightPhoenix can now do some micro with the warp prism. No danger here. HeRoMaRiNE not taking the situation seriously, perhaps. Like, if he had retreated and not reinforced as much as he did in the middle of the map, he probably would have been fine. He wouldn't have gotten snowballed upon, but it is what it is. NightPhoenix with the upset, gonna take game number 1.
I mean, he started really well. It just, yeah, like, when you were like, oh, he's got more units rallying in, that's when it started to turn. Like, he lost too much. He needed to just recon, whatever you call it. The word I can't think of for some reason. Back at home, and once he gets going back at home, he should have been fine. We lift up the siege tank again. We do raise the depot, so the Stalkers can't get in. This time the siege tank should get back down, as we're actually going to jump up with a few of the Stalkers. The Prism helping out. Can we get rid of the tank? SCV's trying to repair, but we're almost out of money. Can we actually get rid of this siege tank? Finally, it is going to go down. That it should be GG. NightPhoenix takes game number 1 off the HeRoMaRiNE for the upset of a start.
Yo, I am here for it, man. NightPhoenix, way to go, man. They it was, I would absolutely say, the fault of HeRoMaRiNE, you know, just to be very clear. But NightPhoenix, whether it was a bit lucky or it was really good game sense, I mean, he was right to try and move across the map a little bit. But if HeRoMaRiNE were to retort, you know, counter this with saying, no, I would have microed better, I wouldn't have gotten, like, such unluckiness on some of the high ground, low ground mechanics, I would have been like, oh, okay, I see your point. They both were playing a dangerous game, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, they both were kind of playing with fire with all the engagements in the middle of the map, but NightPhoenix just realizing that he was winning it and goes, okay, I'm really close to the base, I'm really close to the guys' reinforcements, let's just go for it, was a very good call.
Gonna be Babylon map number 2. We'll see if HeRoMaRiNE can bounce back. NightPhoenix capitalizing really well. I think that's the main thing, right? We come out of this and we say, hey, you know, really good start, really noticed what was going on and just identified, hey, I can go and I can keep on going. And, you know, it takes some guts to kind of commit to that, because sometimes you can say maybe he should have been like, oh my god, okay, I did enough, let's go back. No, he realized he had that game in his hands. And we are going to dive right on into game number 2 as HeRoMaRiNE will look to bounce back a Zombie Grub and try and, well, take a map, first of all, and then take the series after, if he can get it to a 1-1 scoreline. You got to think that in Swiss, it is pretty brutal if you're the player that's 0-1, and then you go up against HeRoMaRiNE when you're 0-1 as well. Like, that is not a fun start to your tournament at all.
That is true. I guess we'd still feel a little bit worse for the guys that HeRoMaRiNE plays, even if he is the one to lose here. That just sometimes works when upsets happen, right? But I was also thinking that for HeRoMaRiNE, again, you're the favorite for really a lot of the group. You know, you're gonna have trouble with some people. Rainer, Max, Bax, Clem, of course, but yeah, you suddenly lose against someone you're not really supposed to, so now it's a bit more of a slog, and now you're maybe a little bit tilted. you know, you have a reduced number of chances to win, I suppose, in this format, but you do face people that you still continue to be favored against in this format too. So I guess it kind of balances out. HeRoMaRinE probably shouldn't be concerned. Anyways, going into Babylon for game number 2. In the bottom right, it is NightPhoenix.
That intro caught me off guard. I was not ready. Did not have my hand on the
Oh.
epic zoom button. It's okay. In the top left, HeRoMaRinE. I'll match you.
Oh my god, you were on Control +2. Too many observers.
Control +2. I love that. Sometimes when I'm trying to, like, you know, steal someone's observing on a cast, and I'm just like, where's my favorite observer? It's like, why are they always at the bottom? Like, it's painful, man.
Nice.
I love how it goes as well from like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No 9, just 8. And there's like Shift, Control, 1 or something. It's like, how do you ever press that? And it doesn't work either. Like, this hotkey just I don't know why it's a hotkey, because it just doesn't exist.
Really?
Yeah, if you actually try and press it, like, it doesn't work on mine at least. Like, if I try and press the Control and 1 or something, it does not lock onto that observer.
Wow, I don't think I've ever tried. I've never bothered trying the hotkey.
It's probably because you're a good person that actually observes your own games. Too
Oh,
innocent.
well, there is that. There is that.
Check
yeah,
you out,
I
being
do
a
tend
good
to.
being a good caster. Check you out.
I know.
Oh.
It's so weird.
I'm just so lazy nowadays. What can I say?
I just can't stand some people's observing, I guess. Like, I guess...
That's the good part. You figure out who the good ones are.
Sure, but I've literally done it with Indy and Funka,
Yeah.
who are literally observers. And I've kind of been bothered because
Yeah.
they're also observing differently, right? They're not observing as observers, they're observing
That's
as
true.
casters too.
This
So.
is making me feel like I just don't care enough about the games at all now, ZG. Now I'm second guessing myself.
You're actually like terrible quality observing, and you're just you don't even notice anymore. You've cast too much StarCraft.
Wow. Unbelievable. Reaper and a Zealot mute in the middle of the map. Let's change topic. I'm not happy with this one anymore. Quick abort.
It's leading down a dark path. Does Wardy
Yeah.
even care about StarCraft anymore?
I'm spiraling, man. Like, don't know what's going on here.
Passion is gone.
Yeah, Reaper fights the Zealot, and the Adept shows up, and Reaper has to run away, like my Passion has done, apparently.
Yeah, it's run away, just like the Adept should. Well, NightPhoenix, with that low ground gateway, has set himself up to wall a little bit better, sure, but you know, with the Zealot being chronoed out, I do think his plan was to be very aggressive on one of the shorter maps on the map pool. It thus is a little awkward, and the Zealot has to spend so much time chasing around the Reaper so far away from anything important. So I'd say that HeRoMaRinE, especially because HeRoMaRinE is going for high ground expansion as default in a lot of his TVPs, is totally fine with this. In fact, HeRoMaRinE has been doing so many high ground CCs. I don't know if you picked up on this as well. Maybe I'm thinking incorrectly. I would actually say no one should be doing this kind of forward shenanigans anymore. Even MaxPax doesn't do it against them anymore, I think. But I'm not totally 100% about that.
Yeah, I've not seen as many HeRoMaRinE TVPs lately, but I can't believe it, you know? I think he just gets to a point where he's like, man, I'm so sick of this nonsense, and just gonna put it on the high ground. You know, if you want to do it into me, perfect, I'd take a lead. If you don't, I'm kind of fine with it anyway. My TVP is really good. I believe I can be fine as long as I don't get thrown off early, so kind of okay with that.
The bigger concern is still absolutely something like a 4-gate. The early game, and talking to HeRoMaRinE too, you know, he kind of isn't so worried about it. So there's times where he doesn't even bother scouting, right? But afterwards, it is concerning. You know, anyone can die to a surprise DT blink, and anyone can die to a 4-gate blink, which is not currently what's happening. NightPhoenix went Robo first. It's just a 4-gate.
Yep.
Or 2 gateways turning into 3 gateways. It's going to be a 3-gate eventually.
It's gonna be a 3-gate, yes.
There we
Numbers.
go. Eventually.
There was one warp gate, there
Eventually.
was one building, and there was one a gateway. Like you might think it's just 1
Yeah.
plus 1 plus 1, but then you second guess whether one just finished morphing when you finish looking at it and everything. Anyways, here's the fight. The Devastating Stalkers onto a bunker, will not go down. We try and get the cycle, we take a tank shot, and this didn't really work out at all.
No, it did not. And yes, that's exactly why I was not sure. But this kind of gateway-based attack is, once again, I feel like playing into HeRoMaRiNE's standard opening of TVP, which is actually quite protective. It's defensive. It's lining up to defend, you know, anything in the post 4 minutes, I suppose, as well as anything pre 4 minutes. Like, he just usually is locked up tight for that one. I know Max Pax does that fast 3-gate opener with no robo at all, and sometimes that can surprise people, but this is like in between the fast 3-gate build and the 4-gate blink build. It's somewhere in between. It is getting into blink, it is doing some harassment, but it just feels like it's the worst of all worlds, you know, instead of the best.
Yeah, I hate it. I'm just gonna be honest. You know, this build's really cool when it works. It's like, oh, cool, I got in there, and then it's like I did damage. But man, like, if you don't do anything, like, you're so far behind. Like, your tech is like non-existent. Like, does a robo facility even count as tech? Well, cool, you can get a robo bay up, but you know, we're moments away from +1 sim combat shield bio, and you've got blink about to finish and a first Colossus starting. Like, that is not where you want to be at this point in the game. You've got a Prism here that's going to go after this Cyclone, which is locking onto the Prism, which does not get away, so all these Stalkers go down, and that is going to be a massive catch from HeRoMaRinE. And I worry even more now about this potential push across the map, because it feels as though NightPhoenix is going to have less and less and less to deal with it, as he's just been losing out.
No success whatsoever with that. Because you wouldn't even say forcing HeRoMaRinE to be over-defensive is really a success, because it's hardly over-defensive. Hardly. You know, you get a bunker, totally fine. You get some SimCity, totally fine. The only thing that he didn't necessarily need was a missile turret. But that's totally fine. NightPhoenix is in a much more awkward position because of the way that he opened. And of course, losing the Warp Prism just gives the green light to the Terran to rush across the field with whatever they have. No worries. And in this case, HeRoMaRiNE's going to rush right into NightPhoenix's main base,
where there is a robo facility, which is a really good target, a Twilight Council 2. This is why you don't build your tech on the edge of your base, because it's just really too easy to target. If this was gateways, it's like whatever, and you're going to go deeper to get the tech, but if I'm HeRoMaRiNE, I don't even think we spread out the units like this, and don't get me wrong, getting probes is nice, but I think killing the robo would have been great. He's going to dive on the Colossus anyways, I guess it doesn't matter. He's going to get one, he's probably going to get two of them. If he really tries to target, he stops for a probe for a moment, he's actually just going to load up and drop to the low ground, and I think this one ZG might just about be done.
Yes. It's like that first game didn't even happen, Morty. I feel like this is the first game for HeRoMaRiNE. This is domination.
This Siege Tank is going to survive a little while longer as well, and while there's not a ton of bio units left, there's obviously still plenty. 34 probes down. NightPhoenix might push back this wave of the attack, but there's no way he's pushing back the next one. Well, actually turns out two Marauders are really good against these few Stalkers as well, so they stuck around longer than I thought they would, and the reinforcements are about to arrive, and well, that's just going to be GG. HeRoMaRiNE takes game 2, ties it up, and, was there a game 1? Because, yeah, that didn't really seem like there was.
Apparently that is tied up now 1-1, but that just was two drastically different games. HeRoMaRiNE playing a more standard game was very much rewarded. Because the first game, you could absolutely blame him being a little too gung-ho. He's a little too just like, oh, I can defeat this guy with my micro, and then, oh, wait, there's actually very few units, and they're dying, so now I'm in trouble. In the second game, he just plays it nice and safe, gets to a good amount of units, and can really have fun there. Plus, he just defends NightPhoenix's build perfectly. And NightPhoenix really put himself into the worst possible position, I feel, with that opener, even without the Warp Prism getting sniped. Even if that Warp Prism was still running around, I'd still say HeRoMaRiNE wins in a similar fashion.
Yeah, was the Warp Prism not scary? Like, 4 Stalkers against what was about to be Stim. You don't need that much to defend it. It's like, you open a few Zelts with it, okay, it's a bit tankier, but scary? I don't think so. I mean, this all started with a drop across the map. It wasn't the entire army moving across. He had the units at home to still defend, if there was a Warp Prism there. So, yeah, I think... absolutely, just HeRoMaRiNE showing kind of what we expected to see, and bringing this back to being 1-1 now. We're heading into a game 3 on Grezvan, and it is, well, back to NightPhoenix. Can you do something about HeRoMaRiNE? I just don't want to see him open in the same way. There's a reason this opening is very hit or miss, I guess, and this one, like, missed, and it missed hard. Like, it was so out of left field. It was bad.
Yeah. I loved you just being, like, deadpan. Like, I hate it. I mean, I eventually hated it, too.
Yeah. The build is like, the thing is, it's like sometimes even this build though can do well, and then you still don't end up in a good position because the Terran's got stim and stuff, and you're like, oh, my blink's halfway done. So you just end up taking some amount of damage anyway. It just feels like you need so much, and what you said about HeRoMaRiNE's build order and everything, and how it usually opens, and that was playing into it, was exactly true, so I don't understand the choice necessarily. But I guess we'll see what gets brought out in this game 3 from Hot Headed Gaming. NightPhoenix. And
as always, and forever, on mouse. He is HeRoMaRinE. I appreciate the idea of trying to do something a little unorthodox, especially as the underdog, but an unorthodox build that isn't fully committed, because you think you do have a chance in a straight up game, which I don't think he does, but he did win game number 1, so that's up for him to decide. But that felt like such a, as you were saying, even if it did something, it doesn't really reward you very much. The reward is not at all worth the risk.
Yeah.
So I would expect something like, I'm actually not sure what he could do that would be kind of in similar line of thinking, which is, again, a light touch of aggression into a decent build order, but that wasn't it. I'll just say that one. Like that was not it. Maybe something like a proxy gateway or a 3-gate that Max Pax does, but because HeRoMaRinE High Ground expands, it just doesn't seem worth it.
That's not good. That ain't good. You've literally just read my mind. Exactly what I was gonna say. I was like, you could maybe like do like a 2-gate with a proxy or so. But then if you high ground CC, well, then that's just a terrible idea anyway. So again, it doesn't really work out. Like, HeRoMaRiNE's builds are meant to be resilient against this. Like, this early pressure, it's exactly what HeRoMaRiNE is setting up to not take damage from. So yeah, I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's fine, but you're kind of killing yourself already. Just, that's why you've got to be variable as a player. That's why you've got to be adaptable. You can't just do what you are most comfortable with, because sometimes your opponent will have the answer to that every time. So yeah, it's got to be, I think it's got to be something drastically different, quite frankly.
And it's tough for NightPhoenix coming in as the underdog. He can try and be super aggressive. Again, all these proxies that we're talking about, kind of countered by the high ground command center. You could do a straight up 4-gate blink, but HeRoMaRiNE is always kind of default defending against that, unless he confirms it's something different. So a Stargate, for instance, okay, then he's not going to default defend against a 4-gate blink. And so then what else is there going on the opposite end of things, going super, super greedy? Well, HeRoMaRiNE can do what he did in the first game. And if you're really greedy, then that would have absolutely won. So NightPhoenix is, you know, in between a rock and a hard place, and doesn't help that PvT in general, there's no one really necessarily leading the charge. And the guy who might be leading the charge, Max Pax, is just so freaking good, right? You can't, you can't copy him. That's been the case for the last 2 years. Other very good Protoss have tried to copy him and failed. So what in the world do you do as NightPhoenix? Maybe go back to what you're most comfortable with, which perhaps is Phoenix. So I kind of like this. But, you know, just because I think maybe it's the best that NightPhoenix can play, I'm not saying he's going to win with it.
100% with you. I think the problem is it's like that weird thing. It's like, well, do you go back to what you're comfortable with? Yeah, that's always a good idea. If you're the underdog, is comfortable good enough? Like, sometimes you got to step out your comfort zone and do something a bit crazier. This is bad. Reapers, Hellions getting by. Lift one of the Hellions, I think, so you can make sure you minimize the splash damage. The Reaper Hellion just dives into the main base instead. HeRoMaRiNE absolutely just making sure to get as much space between himself and the other units as possible. The Adept pops out of the gateway, though, and that's going to help. We're still down 6 workers at the end here, and still have Adepts trying to chase down those Reapers, which are likely going to loop around for at least a couple more kills.
It looks like HeRoMaRiNE's planning on improving on his first game. Probably shook his head at the end of it and went, okay, that was a bit silly. I should never let that happen. Let's fix it for game number 3. He is building Cyclones. He did build a Medivac. He is going to go across the map. All signs, all units that go across the map, right? And it's not going to be harassment. Otherwise, Phoenix would take care of it. It's going to be that straight up push. And this time, he's going to make sure he wins with it.
There is no way he is not just going to be a little bit more careful on the follow-up and all of that. He is going to be dead serious across this map. He is going to be extremely difficult to break. And, yeah, looking very, very good here as our couple of depth shade through. Marine gets picked off. The other few Phoenix continuing down the bottom right. Our robotics facility continues in as well. And just seeing how, I mean, HeRoMaRiNE going to pull back because the Adepts and Phoenix get by him. We're going to actually get a lift on one of the Cyclones. The Adepts don't really do much. They're actually going to recall home, leaving the Phoenix here. Kill a Cyclone, we lose a Phoenix. Do we like that much? Not really sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They're both high quality, slow to build. Well, Phoenix aren't really slow to build, but high quality, expensive units. So, what I'm more concerned by is if NightPhoenix gets a shield battery. Because didn't he not get one in game 1 too? And that's what added to the difficulty of holding. He's still not getting one.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. I don't understand why not. Did no one tell him that shield batteries are really good?
he got this far in StarCraft without knowing shield batteries are good. Oh my god, someone tell him he's gonna win GSL. My goodness.
It's bonkers to me, no? Hello? Like,
it is bonkers. I actually don't know. I guess he maybe assumes because HeRoMaRinE had to run back home that the engagement's done, which is a really bold assumption. But he's kind of right. HeRoMaRinE's not going to dedicate to the attack.
No, he is not going to dedicate to the attack at all. Just going to see our Phoenix coming through, Medevac being shot at, and just going to be seeing the other units of HeRoMaRinE still pushing to the upper left-hand side. Our Phoenix going to continue through as well to the upper left, and I mean, just HeRoMaRinE getting some damage dealt throughout. Yeah, maybe not overcommitting through, but you know what? He's still up 10 workers, right? So all this pressure and like in the middle of the map, it's keeping NightPhoenix busy, and NightPhoenix isn't focused on. I mean, he's not building probes at all right now. He's building units. And he needs some workers. He's fallen very far behind if this turns into a more macro-oriented game.
I guess his plan is it's not going to happen. So I'm guessing NightPhoenix figured that he could just cut probes and produce as much as possible to defend, and then have the same type of situation as game number 1, where he has a surprisingly good counterattack. I still think that's playing with fire, and a shield battery is a relatively low commitment cost to safeguard you when you're still building your army, but whatever. He has now made this 100% totally all in. Is it going to work? HeRoMaRinE does have all of his units back at home. He didn't lose so many on the reinforcement like last time, and he might even get that War Prism. NightPhoenix doesn't get the tank. That's a terrible start, and NightPhoenix is forced to run away. Maybe HeRoMaRinE doesn't want to chase, but HeRoMaRinE is definitely settled on 2 bases, no problem.
Absolutely, he is going to be fine just out here. Obviously, we're getting closer and closer to stim and combat shields being done. NightPhoenix just seems to want to keep on going for this. He's going to press on forward, and he's going to commit the Adepts, and we will lift up the siege tanks up. Our units trading and trading. I think they're just going to be plentiful, right? I mean, the tanks aren't really dying quickly. When they do die, well, everything else died on the side of the Protoss player, and that is pretty much going to seal the deal. This was a series of at the very least 2 halves, if not more, because that first game and games 2 and 3 were just nothing alike CG. I mean, not even comparable, really.
No, absolutely not. Not comparable. Well, funnily enough, I think the same idea was in play here, so in that way comparable. But in terms of the quality of the victor, the quality of the victory, definitely far more convincing for HeRoMaRiNE's victories. As he didn't even sweat it really on that engagement, even as his numbers got a little low. He's like, no, I got this. 3rd CC gets landed, SCVs go to it, and NightPhoenix, well, why not try? But he knows it was all in. He knows he's in trouble. So maybe Disruptors? Hail Mary?
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. You may as well try something, right? I mean, this is your last chance of the series. You know, you've played, you know, a good little while. There's no harm staying in a couple extra minutes just to give you a go. Is it extremely unlikely you win? Yes. But does it do you any harm by trying? Absolutely not.
It really doesn't, because we're not even talking about some type of land scenario where he's going to tire himself out.
Yeah.
This is it. This is his game for the day.
Yeah, day is done after this. Turn off, reset, recharge afterwards. Okay, apparently now we don't try. He's like, actually, no, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just gonna rest up. It's fine.
Yeah, actually.